conscience that rocked it. To Kill a Mockingbird became both an instant bestseller and critical success when it was first published in 1960. It went on to win the Pulitzer Prize in 1961 and was later made into an Academy Award-winning film, also a classic. Compassionate, dramatic, and deeply moving. To Kill a Mockingbird takes readers to the roots of human behavior, to innocence and experience, kindness and cruelty, love and hatred, humor and pathos. Now with over 18 million copies in print and translated into 10 languages, this original story by a young Alabama woman claims a universal appeal. Harper Lee always considered her book to be a simple love story. Today it is regarded as a masterpiece of American literature. Okay, let's put that down. Let's find a page. Let's see. Chapter 17. Jim, I said, are those Ewells sitting down yonder? Hush, said Jim. Mr. Hicktate's testifying. Mr. Tate had dressed for the occasion. He wore an ordinary business suit, which made him look somehow like every other man. Gone were his high boots, a lumber jacket, and bullet-studded belt. From that moment he ceased to terrify me. He was sitting forward in the witness chair, his hands clasped between his knees, listening attentively to the circuit solicitor. The solicitor, a Mr. Gilmer, was not well known to us. He was from Abbotsville. We saw him only when court convened, and that was rarely, for court was of no special interest to Jim and me. A balding, smooth-faced man. He could have been anywhere between 40 and 60. Although his back was to us, we knew he had a slight cast in one of his eyes, which he used to his advantage. He seemed to be looking at a person when he was actually doing nothing of the kind. Thus he was held on juries and witnesses. The jury, thinking themselves under close scrutiny, paid attention, so did the witnesses, thinking likewise. In your own words, Mr. Tate, Mr. Gilmer was saying. Okay, let's put that one down. Moving on. The next one, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. 60 years after its original publication, Ray Bradbury's internationally acclaimed novel Fahrenheit 451 stands as a classic world literature. Set in a bleak and dystopian future, today's message has grown more relevant than ever before. Guy Montag is a fireman. His job is to destroy the most illegal of commodities, the printed book, along with the houses in which they are hidden. Montag never questions the destruction and ruin his actions produce, returning each day to his planned life and wife, Mildred, who spends all day with her television, family. But when he meets an eccentric young neighbor, Clarice, who introduces him to a past where people didn't live in fear, and to a present where one sees the world through the ideas in books instead of the mindless chatter of television, Guy Montag begins to question everything he has ever known. Sorry for the interruption. The air kicked on. I turned it off. Now, back to it. Let's see. Montag drew a deep breath. His lungs were like burning brooms in his chest. His mouth was sucked dry from running. His throat tasted of bloody iron, and there was rusted steel in his feet. What about those lights there? Once you started walking, you'd have to gauge how fast those beetles could make it down here. Well, how far was it to the other curb? It seemed like 100 yards. Probably not 100, but figure. For that anyway, figure that with him going very slowly and a nice stroll, it might take as much as 30 seconds. 40 seconds to walk all that way. The beetles, once started, they could leave 3 blocks behind them in about 15 seconds. So even if halfway across, he started to run. He put his right foot out, and then his left foot, and then his right. He walked on the empty avenue. Even if the street were entirely empty, of course, you couldn't be sure of a safe crossing, for the car could appear suddenly over the rise 4 blocks further on, and beyond and past you before you had a dozen breaths. He decided not to count his steps. He looked neither to the left nor right. The light from the overhead lamp seemed as bright and revealing as the midday sun, and just as hot. He listened to the sound of the car picking up speed 2 blocks away on his right. Its movable headlights jerked back and forth suddenly, and caught at Montag. "Keep going." Montag faltered, caught a grip on the books, and forced himself not to freeze. Instinctively, he took a few quick running steps, then talked out loud to himself and pulled up to stroll again. He was now half across the street, but the roar from the Beetle's engines whined higher as it put on speed. The next one, a short book, Stone Fox by John Reynolds Gardner. A race against time. Little Willie's grandfather is sick, and it's up to Willie to save the farm from the tax collectors. Their only hope is the prize money from the National Dog Sled Race, but a lot of other people want to win the race too, including Stone Fox, who has never lost a race in his life. Do Willie and his dog Searchlight stand a chance against the toughest racers around? Can they win the race to save the farm and grandfather before it's too late? Straight and back. Little Willie didn't see who won. It didn't matter. And then it was time to old church clock showed a few minutes before 10 as the contestants positioned themselves directly beneath the long banner that stretched across the street. They stood 9 abreast. Stone Fox was in the middle. Little Willie right next to him. Little Willie had read all about the other contestants in the newspaper. They were all well-known mountain men with good racing records and excellent dog teams. But even so, all bets were on Stone Fox. The odds were as high as 100 to 1 that he'd win. Not 1 cent had been bet on Little Willie at Searchlight. What happened to Willie's eye? Doc Smith asked Lester. Bumped it this morning when he got up. Let's see, the next one. 1984 by George Orwell. George Orwell was born in 1903 in India as an English novelist, essayist, and critic. He was a man of strong opinions who addressed some of the major political movements of his times, including imperialism, fascism, and communism. Orwell was an author of 6 novels, as well as numerous essays and non-fiction works. His famous works include Animal Farm and Burmese Days. This very small print. I'll just read one long paragraph. But when war becomes literary, inconsistencies, and the most palpable facts can be denied or disregarded. As we have seen, researchers that could be called scientific or still carried out for the purpose of war, but they are essentially kind of daydreaming, and their failure to show results is not important. Efficiency, even military efficiency, is no longer needed. Nothing is efficient in Oceania except the thought police, since each of the three superstates is unconquerable. Each is an effective separate universe in which almost any perversion of thought can be safely practiced. Reality only exerts its pressure through the needs of everyday life, the need to eat and drink, to get shelter and clothing, to avoid swallowing poison or stepping out of top-story windows, and the like. Between life and death, and between physical pleasure and physical pain, there is still a distinction, but that is all. Cut off from contact with the outer world and with the past, the citizen of Oceania is like companion in interstellar space, who has no way of knowing which direction is up and which is down. The rulers of such a state are absolute, as the pharaohs or the Caesars could not be. They are obliged to prevent their followers from starving to death in numbers large enough to be inconvenient, and they are obliged to remain on the same low level of military technique as their rivals. But once that minimum is achieved, they can twist reality into whichever shape they choose. The next one. American Psycho by Easton Ellis. Patrick Bateman is handsome, well-educated, intelligent. He works by day on Wall Street, earning a fortune to complement the one he was born with. His nights he spends in ways he cannot begin to fathom. He is 26 years old and living his own American dream. Let's see. Okay. I'll just read a paragraph. We walk in and I lay out $60. Not a single drink ticket. The club is predictably dark except for the flashing strobe lights, and even with them, all I can really see is dry ice pumping out of a fog machine, and one hard body dancing to INX's new sensation, which blasts out of speakers at a pitch that vibrates the body. I tell Evelyn to go to the bar and get us 2 glasses of champagne. Oh, of course, she shouts back, heading tentatively toward one thin white strip of neon, the only light illuminating what might be a place where alcohol is served. In the meantime, I score a gram from someone who looks like Mike Donaldson, and after debating for 10 minutes while checking out this hard body, whether I should ditch Evelyn or not, she comes up with 2 flutes half full of champagne. Indignant, sad face. It's Corbell, she shouts. Let's leave. I shake my head negative and shout back, let's go to the restrooms. She follows. Now, for the last book of today. 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. Immerse yourself in the story that scorched bestseller list with records around the world with more than 165 million copies sold. When literature student Anastasia Steele goes to interview young entrepreneur Christian Grey, she encounters a man who is beautiful, intelligent, brilliant, and intimidating. The unworldly, innocent Anna is startled to realize she wants this man, and despite his enigmatic reserve, he finds she is desperate to get close to him. Unable to resist Anna's quiet beauty, wit, and independence, answer to, but on his own terms. Shocked yet thrilled by Gray's singular erotic taste, Anna hesitates, but for all the trappings of success, his multinational businesses, his vast wealth, and his loving family, Gray is a man tormented by demons and consumed by the need to control. When the couple embarks on a daring, passionately physical affair, Anna discovers Christian Gray's secrets and explores her own dark desires. Start somewhere in the beginning. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. I have never been on the receiving end of rejection. Okay. So I was always one of the last to be picked for basketball or volleyball, but I understood that running and doing something else at the same time, like bouncing or throwing a ball, is not my thing. I'm a serious liability in any sporting field. Romantically, though, I never put myself out there, ever. A lifetime of insecurity. I'm too pale, too skinny, too scruffy, uncoordinated. My long list of faults go on. So I have always been the one to rebuff any would-be admirers. There was that guy in my chemistry class who liked me, but no one has ever sparked my interest. No one has helped, except Christian damn Gray. Maybe I should be kinder to the likes of Paul Clayton and Jose Rodriguez, though I'm sure neither of them have been found sobbing alone in the dark places. Perhaps I just need a good cry. Stop now. My subconscious is metaphorically screaming at me, arms folded, leaning on one leg and tapping her foot in frustration. Get in the car, go home, do your studying, forget about him now. And all this self-pitying, wallowing crap. I'll take a deep, steadying breath, stand up, get it together still. I head for Kate's car, wiping the tears off my face as I do.